Hey everybody, I'm here today with my friend Kendra, and it is as hot as the surface of the sun outside. So what we thought we would do is just come inside where we've got some air conditioning and get away from a little bit of the insanity of summer. And Kendra, you want to say hi?
Hey everybody, happy to be here on the first podcast. Really excited to see what Steph does with this. She's always super creative and good at everything. So
well, maybe a little bit goofy.
It's more fun if you're goofy. So.
It is. And we've known each other for a long time. I met you when you had your first boutique, literally right across the road there.
Yep, that was July of 2006. I opened over there, so that's been 17 years ago. Yeah, 17 years ago.
Wow.
That's crazy to think about. And then I was telling Blake the other day, I was like, well, this is the second time y'all have been my landlord.
That is true.
Whenever we were buying a house in 2013, it fell out like the week of closing.
Yep.
And we needed something quick because our old house was closing. You guys let us rent your rent house with our giant dog.
I remember that.
A Great Dane.
And you know, I was like, this dog was less destructive than our previous tenants.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything. He barely got up and moved.
I think it's not really like, I know people that are anti-animal in the house, like my mom.
My mom too. Well, not my mom, my mother-in-law.
Yeah, I mean, I have inside dogs, and they don't really bother me. But here's the thing: I think it's more about the human than the animal.
It's probably true.
Because
how
if
they
you
take care of them.
Yeah, if you have grown adult humans that know this dog has to go outside to use the bathroom, or I need to vacuum because I have hair
everywhere,
or I need to wipe their drool off of the counters, you know, because dogs sometimes drool on things.
Yep.
But so that's the thing, like I never had any issues renting to people who had pets. It was the humans who were irresponsible and didn't clean up after their pets.
Very true.
Yeah.
I also, I love dogs. I do. So I preface this with that. I mean, I have a 100-pound dog right now, and he doesn't shed. But I think that one of my biggest pet peeves, though, is, going over to, show a house or maybe even visiting with someone, and they don't put their dog up.
Well, what are you supposed to do with that?
I don't know. I'm not saying like a little dog, but like yesterday, for instance, we went somewhere, and my daughter was with us, and this dog, they said he weighed about 75 pounds. He's literally biting her ankles. And I'm like, are y'all going to stop it? Like, is anybody going to do anything? Like,
I mean,
our dog, we put him away because I know he's intrusive, invasive to people, so.
And that really seems like it could be a deterrent, like to people buying your home.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, hey, you have to get past this vicious dog to see our home. And if you can do that, then we'll entertain your offer.
Yeah, and it is crazy too how you can have, if people don't like animals, like they don't want to see dog food bowls or dog food. It's almost like you need to make it look like it doesn't exist, because as soon as they see it, then they'll be like, oh, I do smell dog.
I know, and I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah,
no, you don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or litter box. They're like, oh, there's a cat in here.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, so my daughter has 2 cats, and she's got a 1-bedroom apartment. She's adulting for the first time, but I promise you would never know she owned cats unless you saw the cat.
Yeah, I mean, and that's on the people.
Exactly.
Not on the cat itself, because they can't help it. They're wild animals.
Right.
I guess. But.
I mean, I love dogs. I connect with dogs better than I do with. I do.
Yeah.
I make up songs for my dogs, and my kids are now at that age where they don't want me engaging in any sort of like sweet cuddle time. So I am able to put that over onto my dogs, and they eat it all up.
Oh yeah, we like to give our dog voices. Hello, I'm Huckleberry. And I don't know, Ruby thinks it's the funniest thing ever, but he's so funny. He almost looks human, like his face, like he'll turn his head like he's really understanding you, and I don't know,
yes,
he's just so sweet.
So if you guys, Kendra, you have a Bernedoodle, right? And is that like a Saint Bernard?
No, it's a Bernese Mountain Dog. So his mom is half Bernese Mountain Dog and half poodle, and then his dad's a poodle, a standard poodle.
Yeah. So
he doesn't show.
For the listeners, just to give you a visual, imagine a horse with a face of a dog.
Yes. He is.
that is
so
also
fluffy.
like nice. It's
Yeah.
not a galloper. It's just
Yeah.
like a nice horse-sized dog.
I've never seen him growl at anyone or have like the hair on his neck or anything stand up. Like our Great Dane, I mean, he was huge and he was wonderful. I loved him, but he was honestly like he scared me sometimes. Like I would always make sure he was put up because was scared that he would try to defend somebody.
Yeah.
Like he was very protective. I mean, if somebody came over, the hair would stand up on the back of his neck. He'd growl. He didn't like men for some reason. Didn't want people looking him in the eye. So like kids that were eye level with him, like would freak him out.
It's like the animals at the zoo.
Yeah. So I was always very cautious with him. But Huck, I mean, bless his heart, he just doesn't. He doesn't have a mean bone in his body or know that meanness could exist. I don't think.
Yeah, well, is it embarrassing of me to admit, like, I'm a little bit intimidated by my Yorkie. And I mean, he's 7 now. He weighs like 6 pounds.
Yeah, he's tiny. He's so cute.
He's very tiny. I mean, he's portable, you know. I can pick him up and put him anywhere, but let me tell you, this dog will eat your face off.
Oh, I cannot imagine.
Yeah, so for instance, our 14-year-old daughter is getting ready to take her driver's test. So last night we were talking about her scheduling that, and of course, you know, I'm a little out there, so I'm holding our Yorkie Taj, and I'm like, Taj, are you upset that you cannot also take your driver's test? And immediately he started growling.
Oh, okay.
And bit me.
Oh. So he was. He understands.
He understood. Like, he is so humanized that he seriously understood what I was saying and was mad that he can't drive.
And they get their feelings hurt and they just kind of wander off. Like, Huck, you can make him sad very easily too.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't get defensive or anything, but he definitely has emotions.
Right. Well, our spaniel dog, he's very gentle.
He's same age as Huck.
And he's like, so our very tiny Yorkie is the bully of the spaniel. He tells him what time to get up, what time to go to the bathroom, and it's really kind of sad.
Oh,
you know?
around.
Yeah, because you've got the little man syndrome with a Yorkie who is treating the sweetest dog that's 4 times his size like a prisoner.
That's how it goes sometimes. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're funny things, but I can't imagine not having them. When our Great Dane passed away, we had a Shih Tzu too mixed, and they were 9 and 15. And when one of them died, the Shih Tzu died. Like the Great Dane, he went really downhill after that. They love being around each other, and we were like, oh, we're so busy, we don't really need to get another dog. And then COVID happened, and you're home all the time.
Yes.
And those Facebook ads get you, but we noticed that my daughter, especially, not so much my son, but she was terrified of dogs because she had never been around them. I mean, like, so scared of them. Like, if she saw your Yorkie, she would have ran the other way, and hysterical tears. So I was like, well, we can't have a kid that's scared of dogs. So now she's not, probably to the other extreme. But it was touch and go for a minute because when we first got Huck, she was scared of him. She did not like him, but she got over it pretty quickly because he is a teddy bear.
So you're like, in order to rid my daughter of this dog phobia,
we're just gonna make you face it.
Yeah, we've got to get like the biggest dog, the most in your face example. But that's a great. I mean, it's like, hey, take the plunge.
Well, and I think probably too, one reason he has been so gentle is he's always had kids around. You know, little kids. They were 4 and 6, I think, when we got him. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I mean, he's not ever not had kids in his life.
Right. So speaking of phobias, this has been a hot topic at my home recently because I'm 42 years old and I have not been able to shake my horrible, embarrassing phobia of walking sticks. The insect.
Talked about it.
Yeah, those are like. So sometimes I say that and people think I'm talking about like a cane,
No,
like a stick that helps. Yeah, I'm talking about the stick insect. And I think maybe. Like when I was growing up, my grandma called them devil horses.
Oh. I
And
can see that. They almost look like pitchforks.
Yeah, so I, like some of my youngest memories, I think I'm thinking, oh my God, there's the horse that Satan's riding in on. And so, you know, it caused some kind of psychological torment inside me. But it is no joke. That is the definition of triggered because I can be minding my own business, bringing groceries in the house.
And there's one.
I mean, I can run a business. I can run my household. I feel like I'm a pretty solid, independent human. I see a walking stick and I crumble. It's like I turn primal.
Oh my gosh, that's so
And
funny.
it is so embarrassing because I'm afraid it's going to happen in a situation someday where I lose control and hurt someone.
Yeah, I'm like that with frogs. I don't like frogs at all. Like, at all. And,
Really?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I know that they're not.
It kind of does, though.
But they're slimy and,
They do pee on you.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's urine.
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
there is
They
some
secrete
juice.
something.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it is very strange.
I don't know. I don't like them. And when we first got married, Ricky thought it was so funny that I was scared of them. He brought one in the house and chased me around the house with it. And I locked myself in the bathroom stall and I got up on the toilet and he let it go under the door. Like it was small enough that it went underneath the door. But I just,
No.
I don't
See,
know. I don't like them. No.
That's PTSD inducing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I had to tell Blake when we first got married, I was like, you need to know something. Like, I'm deathly afraid of these. So here's two things. Don't ever scare me in the shower and don't ever scare me with a walking stick because someone's going to get hurt.
That's funny.
Like, if I have a knife nearby,
Shoot it through the ceiling. Yeah.
right. So I'm like, no scaring me in the shower, no bringing those devil horses around me. So there have been times that I'm walk outside at home and I'll see a huge walking stick, and so I'm housebound until Blake can come home and kill it for me.
Yeah,
I gotta face this fear.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have lots of weird irrational fears. I also don't really like cats at all. I'm scared of them.
Really?
And it's not, I mean, not as bad as frogs. I'll
So
touch
is it a
them.
fear or is it like a dislike?
No, it's more of a fear. I think they're pretty. I mean, I'm sure people have nice cats.
But they're
so-
kind of manipulative looking.
They
in the
are, and they're
eyes.
so catty.
They are.
It's
It's
just,
like,
they're
are they-
unpredictable. I don't
Yeah.
trust them. But when I was a kid, we adopted a cat from, I think it was actually like a yard sale or something. But anyway, it had double paws on the front, so it had basically like four
Yeah.
front feet.
It was an
and it would
Ernest
slap
Hemingway?
at things. I don't know.
So you know the Ernest Hemingway had a cat with like 6
Oh.
toes on each paw.
Wow, yeah, I mean, it was like huge. And that cat slapped us all the time. And ended up being a barn cat, which we grew up on a farm, so it wasn't. But you know,
I've never
but-
seen a slapping cat.
Oh yeah, it would slap at everything. I was like, no, and it had those huge paws, and just I don't know. Maybe that's where that came from. But I'll go in a house and see one, and I'm like, oh, don't touch me.
Yeah. Well, and speaking about like showing properties with animals, you know, my mom was looking for houses several years ago up in northern part of the state before they moved down here. There were 2 houses that she noticed like cat accessories.
Yeah.
And it was an immediate no.
Yeah.
Even though that was
A lot of
probably
people would.
like her dream home.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know that a cat bowl would be like a deal breaker for me.
I feel like after seeing so many houses in the last few years, selling them, and seeing what people can do with them, it scares me a lot less now. I mean, even cigarette smell doesn't. I mean,
Yeah.
you can get an ozone machine, anything
Seriously.
can be cleaned. Yeah. it
And if I
wouldn't
get a good
be
enough discount
Exactly.
on something, a little bit of cat pee is
Mhm.
not going to bother me.
Nope.
I mean, I'll sand that sucker off and varnish it, and I'll be happy with my reduced price per square footage.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
And then have equity when it's fixed.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't
So,
worry me.
could we say that that's our real estate tip for the day? Like, don't discount pet urine.
Don't
Don't-
sweat the small stuff. Don't cut the sweaty stuff.
It could be a selling point.
Yeah. No.
So, what's your favorite part about selling real estate?
I've always liked being around people, and then definitely the houses. I know that's also probably the most work in some senses, but I love looking at houses. I mean, Ricky and I talking recently, like we used to sit and just watch HGTV, and it's not like that. No one ever picks one in 3 houses. Well, it's very rare that someone would pick
Right.
a house and with just seeing 3 houses, which that's very rare, but it's fun. I love getting to see what people do with them and decorate them. Some of our best stories are from some of the worst houses. It's crazy seeing how people live.
I
That
know.
are different from you. So
Yes.
it's I've even had sellers that are friends of ours that they may think something is really clean, like this is their best effort, and you go in and you're like, oh,
Right.
no.
Yes.
No, there's still food in the fridge when you moved out? Like moldy cheese. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, nobody wants your Kraft Singles cheeses from 2004. No. And I think also, like, from a lender perspective, talking about the HGTV, you know, house hunters, they'll be like, oh, Brittany and Jason have a $2 million budget. Brittany sells paper flowers on Etsy.
Yes.
And Jason is a banjo player.
Well, that and then like the negotiating stuff too. So you'll see like this house was listed for $5 million and they got it for $1 million.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
It doesn't. And I'm also telling everybody out there, Brittany and Jason probably also have trust funds.
Exactly. Definitely have trust funds.
I do not think that paper flower creation on Etsy is going to be a good source of income that you could use for a loan unless you're doing that large scale and you filed corporate returns.
You know, that is the interesting part of all of these real estate shows, even like Selling Sunset or I don't know, what are all the shows on Bravo, like Selling New York, those things. None of them actually go through like the nitty-gritty process. Like I don't know that I've ever seen a show that actually took you through the inspection and how you've got to negotiate stuff and you're like, well, if they give you the fridge, we'll forgive that there's a hole in the floor. Like, like you don't ever see that. Or, oh man, this deal's going to get busted because it's a VA loan and the seller's refusing to fix
Put a
the
handrail
deck stuff. Or the handrail, or there's rotten wood somewhere.
Yes.
That's not really a big deal, but I mean, you don't see that stuff on a reality show. So they just paint the house showing.
I would love to see this buyer on HGTV House Hunters. I would love to see
the backside of it.
I would like to see, like, here is Paul Jr. and Sally Sue. They have a budget of $150,000 for a USDA loan. I would like to see that as an example because that's real world.
Oh, yeah.
And that is, you know, normal people within an average price range. And yes, when you're trying to find that property that doesn't have repair issues, by the time, of course, they get to us, I'm the lender, you guys have shown so many houses, so I can't imagine.
Yeah, for it to go bad for like an appraisal or for something like that, like a repair issue. That's definitely crushing. Like we've had that happen, you know, it just is what it is. I mean,
yes.
Especially right now, I feel like sellers especially have the expectation that they don't have to do anything.
Right.
Because in the last couple of years, they haven't. And
they're not getting the memo.
Gaps, or you've had 10 offers on something, and it has definitely slowed down so much that I'm not saying like the perfect house won't get multiple offers, but it is a lot rarer.
Yeah, I think everybody just kind of needs to get the memo that we're in a transitory time. It is what it is. It doesn't mean that it's bad. We just have to kind of find different ways of doing things. Because my customer base is not particularly wealthy. You know, we have average income earners, and it seems like those are the people that are having the hardest time finding things because the inventory, anything under 250. Correct. Yeah.
Well, and it's I know a lot of agents, maybe newer agents, will kind of turn their nose up at lower stuff. They're like, oh, I don't want that. Like, this is not going to make me any money. But my previous broker, she was always of the impression, like, you need to help everybody. All contracts matter. Because
they do.
I've seen her flip, like, $100,000 buyer several times. Like, if you follow the track, like, eventually they'll get up to the $500,000 houses.
Every single
make
customer.
Friends with them in the beginning, like, they're gonna, and you treat them right, they're gonna stay loyal and continue to come back.
100%, because every single person that I helped buy an $80,000 new construction spec house in 2003, isn't that embarrassing?
That's crazy.
Some of those have now purchased their fourth house. They've rolled over all kinds of equity. They've built beautiful custom homes because they were a first-time home buyer that bought that $80,000 house.
Well, and I think a lot of people right now, if they're on the fence about buying, it's because of the rates, but they're like, oh, we're going to wait till the market crashes or the house values go down. I don't see that happening because even though it has slowed down, there's still not inventory.
There isn't.
So
we're kind of in an unusual, this has never happened in history. So what happened is we had like an 18 to 24 month run of virtually the cheapest interest rates ever. And so everybody who bought a house during that period, do you seriously think that they're going to sell to go buy a house at 7% when they're at 3%? Yeah, no, they're going to cling to. Yeah, it's like cold dead hands and pry it from it.
Exactly.
So unless it's a divorce or a death or a relocation,
That's moving.
Yeah. So we're going to have to explore more things like fixer-uppers and new construction and things like that. And that's why it's important to have a good agent so that you know when those houses are available that do come up for sale.
Oh yeah, or even just being realistic too. And Ricky said the other day, he's like, do you always try to talk people out of stuff? And I'm like, no, but I just don't want them to make a stupid decision. Like, you know, we looked at a house the other day with some people, and my husband just got his license, so that's why he's had a lot of input lately. But we looked at a house, and I'm looking at it, and it sold last year for cash at, I'm just going to throw a number out there because it doesn't really matter. I think it was like $180 a foot. There is no way that house would have appraised over $150 a foot. Well, now then they're reselling it, and it's listed at like $200 a foot.
Yeah.
And these people want to see it, and they're like, this is awesome. And I'm like, well, you need closing costs paid, and you need, like, you can do this, we can do this. And there's probably, you know, not going to be a lot of repairs and stuff required, but say you did win the offer and you got it, and it doesn't appraise, what are you going to do then?
That's
you've
right.
got to start all over, and you've already spent $500 on an appraisal, or $600 probably now, maybe more, $350 or something on an inspection, and just wasted a bunch of time that you could have been finding a different one. So
exactly.
while it may look perfect, it's, you know, I don't want anybody to get their hopes up or, you know, waste money that they don't have to whenever realistically it's not going to happen.
And I think that's kind of what makes it different about being in a small town is because I cannot do or advise anybody to do something if I'm going to see them in Walmart.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, these are people I'm going to have to live with myself. My kids go to school with their kids. We may see each other in the car rider line, you know. So you got to give people good advice to make good decisions.
Yep. I would rather them not buy anything than feel like that we manipulated them into buying just something.
Seriously. So speaking of car rider line, I know school's about to start, and I'll ask you your opinion on this. So if you have a double stack car line at your child's school for afternoon pickup, and for those of you who may not know what we're talking about, that means where you actually have two lines of cars all stacked up waiting. So let's say you're one of the last people to get there, and you just see one line of cars and nobody's double stacked. And they're single filing it out to the highway. Are you a jerk if you zoom around everybody and then get into the double stack line and be first?
I don't think so. And
I don't either.
I do it every time because we are specifically told to do that. I mean, they have sent out memos. This has actually happened to me last year. There was this older gentleman that picks up his grandson every day, and he would not let anybody over. And I was like, he's going to have to hit me. Like, the principal is the one doing the line. And she sent out a text that day, just a reminder, this is a zipper line. I mean, they were lined up almost to Highway 5, which is a long way from the school.
It is.
And just holding up traffic because they were not utilizing the zipper line.
Right.
Which we're told from the beginning, this is the way it's supposed to be to keep traffic off the road. I can't help it if you didn't do that.
Yeah. And I mean, so newbies, like, if your kid's in pre-K or kindergarten and you know that it is a double stack car line, you zoom right around that line. You do not feel bad because I'll tell you what, I am zooming around. I am getting to the front on the open double stack side, and I'm gonna be waving to people in the rear view.
Yes, well, and I think it just kind of shows you with a lot of things lately, people just want to follow the crowd, and they may not necessarily agree with it, but they're too scared to step out and do anything different. So they're just going to follow the crowd. Like, oh, okay, we'll just all go sign up for this because everybody else is. So I think I'm supposed to.
Yeah, you got Mr. Larry with his car hanging out in the middle of a busy intersection, and he's getting ran over, and it could have all been avoided if you just double stack and use the zipper line. So I totally agree. There's so many things in life that we have a great solution, but nobody utilizes it. It's like, why do we still want to be bogged down in following the crowd when the crowd's doing it wrong?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's with a lot of, I could go very political, which I know you know, but it's definitely a challenge whenever you see stuff and you do pay attention to things. You just see family members or friends just absolutely oblivious and just take everything. Oh, well, so-and-so did it, so I need to make sure and do that too. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I've always struggled with that in my life. Like, the biggest challenge for me is if something does not make sense, I will not let it go. You know, so like elementary school, our teachers would make up these rules about this is the procedure for going to the bathroom.
Right.
And then I'm thinking in my head, if I have a bathroom emergency,
I'm going.
I do not have time to go through this dumb blue tape procedure or red tape procedure.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah, no, I get it.
You know, so my whole life I've always thought, why do we have needless roadblocks for getting from A to Z? And sometimes that can get you into trouble, but then sometimes it can open up a world of freedom where, you know, you realize you found a loophole to do something.
Well, and that's, we were talking about this recently. Megan and I were, Megan works with us. She, you know, just talking about new agents and how it's such a low barrier of entry to get a real estate license. I mean, you can take a 60-hour course and you're licensed and you're trusted with selling people houses. Now, most agents don't make any money, but the stuff that you learn in real estate school and the stuff that you have to memorize for a test, you are never going to use that again. I mean, I love to learn and I enjoy learning, but that was one of the toughest things for me because I don't see a reason to learn it. Like, I mean, they specifically tell us, like, stay in your lane, you're not a lender, you're not a surveyor, you're not an appraiser, don't give legal advice or, you know, title advice, anything like that. But also you need to know RESPA and you need to know TRID and all of this. Like,
yes.
I don't need to know that. I'm not telling them that. I'm going to send them to you to learn those things or, you know, understand what's important. I don't need to know how many lots or blocks are in a quarter mile or whatever
Right.
it is. Like, it doesn't matter.
But when you do hone down on, hey, this is what's crucial for me to be amazing at. And when you know, like, what you have to focus on and be great at, that's what can make you super different.
Oh yeah, but I also think, like, I mean, maybe I think too highly of our industry, but I do feel like home buying is an important thing. Like, appraisers have to go through an apprenticeship.
Yes.
Like, real life work would be a lot more useful and probably weed out a lot of deadbeat agents if you were forced to go through some kind of real life training.
Yeah. There is nothing that I learned in any school or college that I'm applying. Well, maybe with the exception of maybe some basic accounting skills.
Right.
Yeah, nothing prepared me for this because the reality of it is nothing is going to fit in a box. So you have to take every person, every property, and every prospective loan and say, what box will this fit into and how can I adjust some things, clean it up to make it fit into one of these particular areas. So it's kind of like playing with Legos.
Having to find the perfect
fit.
Yeah, I could see
So if
that.
you like puzzles, I could see where maybe that's because just like you said, seeing the finished product on what some of these people do with these homes.
Yeah.
See, this is what I love. I love seeing someone buy a home, build equity, build wealth, sell that house, use that equity to get something that's even putting them in a better position.
Right.
And that's why home buying is so important. That's why that first step, even if you're having to look at a lower purchase price range just because rates are up.
Right.
You're still better to build equity in something instead of setting your rent money on fire.
Right. And I mean, rents are going up too because of the rates.
Yeah.
I've had several investors that we deal with that are going to be increasing everything because they have in-bank loans on stuff that are on a balloon note every 2 to 3 years. So next year, I would say by next summer, you're going to see a lot of people that their rent are going to go way up because they're not going to be able to make their payments if they keep it the same.
That's right. So do you want to pay your mortgage payment or do you want to pay someone else's mortgage payment that you're not getting anything back out of?
Correct.
Because you're right, even a lot of the commercial properties.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be very different for commercial.
Yes. So like 1 bedroom apartment, $1,400. That's what my daughter's paying in Northwest Arkansas. Yes, that is insane. Of course, Northwest Arkansas it is, and there's more housing demand up there, but it's rapidly increasing. So I do love helping people see you do have options. You may not be there now. We can get you there in 3 months.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
you know, talking about useful things, like, I know this probably makes us sound so old talking about it, but, you know, credit, like, people don't understand that.
I know.
They don't understand that when they were 20 and they took out a card for $15,000 on something
Yes.
and they never paid it, or they had a cell phone bill that never
Right.
paid, or just stupid stuff.
Well, and a lot of this is like, it's not, you don't learn it in school.
No.
And my parents were not financial geniuses.
No, mine
Like
definitely
they,
weren't
you know,
either.
how are you going to learn this? Because most people's parents are not certified financial planners.
No.
I think it'd be interesting if the schools could start at least offering something like life basics. Hey, here's how you balance a checkbook.
Yeah.
Except sometimes I'll ask some of my younger clients and they don't even have checks.
That's what I was going to say. I have a checkbook, guilty here. Like, I couldn't tell you if I have $5 in it or what. Ricky does
Right.
all of that. But I do know how to write a check. I would think I'm pretty successful in most areas of my life, but I understand the way it works, and I just don't.
Yeah.
He does all of that.
Like some of these 20-somethings that have never had to write a check.
Right,
You know?
yeah.
So that's just kind of a sign of the times. Technology has quickly made things a lot easier for us, but sometimes you still have to do it the old school way in an emergency. And
yeah.
you gotta know how.
And I mean, even like a social interaction club, talking about other agents, like, and I'm super awkward too. I'm a dork. Like, I don't know. I've been called a turtle before. Like, oh, you're just cute, so it's fine.
What?
Ricky always says that. He's like, oh, you're just kind of like a turtle. Like, that's why everybody likes you. Like, you're just, you know, you're relatable. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of a dork. But
I mean, I am too.
But I do feel like, you know, whenever you call an agent and they never return your call, or like I had one deal last year. I mean, the guy was just infuriating. He would never pick up the phone. I had the listing, and I finally had him respond to a text message, and he's like, well, I mean, I just didn't know what to say. I didn't have any good news, so I just didn't want to talk. And I'm like,
Yeah.
So you're just going to hold the house hostage for?
Yeah. I mean, I know, because that's like having to tell people bad news.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying that the other day. I was like, how do surgeons give people bad
I don't
news?
know.
I mean, because if I had to give somebody bad news about their health, because there have literally been times I've bawled my eyes out
Mm-hmm.
over different circumstances that were beyond people's control, and it was just frustrating,
Just sucks, yeah.
heartbreaking. And I'm like, man, how could I tell somebody you have a serious health problem?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I can handle that kind of stress.
I don't think I could either, which I don't do well with blood and guts anyway. I'm glad that there are people that do, but I will say, being in real estate in the past 5 years, it definitely makes you a little better at confrontation. Just because there are very hard conversations you have to have with people
Right.
that are not something you want to do, but you may have to tell your buddy that, hey, could we, you know, clean up the cat pee rug and put it somewhere
Yes.
else?
Right,
Let's just get it out of the house.
Be like, we're gonna make this an asset, so take it outside.
Yes, I mean, I had one, it wasn't my listing, but I do know that the listing agent had to have a conversation because there were classy paintings in the house, and one of them was hanging over a king-size bed, and it was of the wife, fully nude, like laid out on a couch. And I mean, I could find the listing right now, and you could see it in the listing photos. She didn't know it was gonna be there. And people were weirded out by it, and that's all they talked about on the house. Like, you know,
Yeah.
people have cameras set up, and they're like, can you believe that picture's up there? I mean, like, that's clearly that person there. I mean,
Yeah.
people
I mean,
are
could
always
you not,
curious
like,
about
flip
what
it
houses-
around?
Well, and I mean, would that not be like an obvious thing? And these people had little kids, so I don't know. If they
Dude,
were
my
just
kids
too
would
young
freak
to-
out.
Yeah. I don't know if they were too young to notice it. It was super strange, but people are weird.
I mean, that's kind of cool. Maybe he wanted to like memorialize his wife's beauty in her body forever, but still,
don't
like,
know.
if my kids walked into our
They would
bedroom,
freak out.
they would vomit.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. And then it being on the internet,
Yes.
like, oh no.
Wonder if it ended up on one of those, you know, those Facebook pages
Yeah,
where they have
it's
like
a logo on Wild or
right.
whatever. Yeah, I don't know, because you would really have had to zoom in or know that it's there to see it in the pictures. I'll have to find it and show you, but it was funny. Funny but not funny. Actually, I can think of another one that was the same thing, and that guy did not take the pictures down. Instead, he just put a white sheet of paper with tape over them,
Mhm.
over every picture. And there were a lot of them, of nude paintings in this house.
So how do you find an artist? Be like, I would like to commission somebody to come and paint my husband nude.
I don't know.
Like-
I don't know who these people were that had it, but I do know the seller on this one, a friend of a friend, but it's almost like this guy, and I don't think this of the first instance I was talking about, but I think the one that I'm thinking of right now that had several, I think he just wanted the attention.
Gotcha.
I think he was looking for the shock and awe and wanted to be, wanted us to talk about him.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely one of those things where, you guys, I can't. So what the
But look
picture?
at the picture of the listing agent laughing about it in the background.
Okay,
Yeah.
you guys,
there were probably 20 of those on a wall,
Okay. So
and they
this
had like
is-
a page flopped down.
So this is this is a dude, okay? This is a grown man in a reclined position, completely naked,
Mm-hmm.
painted.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, here's
I don't know
Here's the
about
wall.
that. So
they
yeah.
just taped white printer paper over.
I mean, I can appreciate
But like
them
my kids could have
concealing
just gone
it,
up like.
but look,
just a
if
weird-
me and
weird
Blake
thing.
were like setting up our house, and he was like, "Hey, how do you think it would look if I put a great big picture of me naked right here?"
Yeah, I think it'd be great.
I'd be like,
very classy.
I'd be like, "Honey, I don't
It's
know, no."
No, I mean, and what if like your parents came over, or your grandparents, or
I
literally anyone?
I just can't imagine thinking I look so good that I want to look at myself all
It
day.
wasn't the seller. No, there's no way it was the seller. But yeah.
Well, yeah, like you had to actually see that photograph, guys, to get the full effect there on it. So,
Mhm.
well, I think we have kind of made the full gamut here. We started with pets, and then we kind of went to cat urine and naked paintings. But this has been really fun, Kendra.
Yes,
Thank
thanks for
you
having
for coming, and we'll do this again. Hope you have a great weekend.